Hey Horrorheads, welcome back to my channel. This is your boy Bobby, and today we're back with another episode of American Horror Story 1984. AHS 1984, episode 2, titled Mr. Jingles. So this episode starts off with Dr. Karen Hopple visiting Margaret at Camp Redwood. So Hopple has a conversation with Margaret, letting her know that Mr. Jingles has escaped the prison. And this whole scene here, guys, give me a vibe of Halloween 2018. And I know I've been comparing the show a lot to Friday the 13th and Halloween, but this is a slasher type of show, and it's paying homage to the 80s slasher films. So it's going to be a lot of comparison here, but in this case, we got Halloween 2018, where, Laurie Strode is preparing for Michael Myers' return. We kind of get the same type of dialogue with Margaret, talking to Hopple about waiting for his return, and when he comes, she's ready to kill him, and she's out for revenge. So she has this trauma that she had dealt with in 1970 when he massacred the whole entire cabin that she was staying in. 15 years later or whatever it is, she ends up having this, revenge thing. And I think this is probably one of the reasons why she opened up this camp, to lure him back into the camp so she can kill him. But again, that's a whole reference to Halloween 2018, but I'm hoping they're not going that route. But as I was watching this episode, I think this route that I think it's going to take is not going to take that turn at all, because a lot of things changed. So Karen Hopple ended up leaving and running away from the cabin that she was talking to Margaret in, because Margaret is acting really weird. She's, a little bit more extra than what she was on the first episode. And then on this episode, she's just more extra and just more aggressive. And I guess that was scaring Karen Hopple. So she was like, all right, I just came here to warn you, but I'm going to leave now. Hopple's driving her car. She ends up getting a flat in the middle of the road. A tow truck, just a coincidence, come out of nowhere, trying to help her out. She knows a little iffy. It ends up being Mr. Jingles. Mr. Jingles smashes through the window, drags Karen Hopple out the car, and the Jeepers Creepers looking knife gadget thing that end up giving Hopple a flat tire, he ends up taking that and jabbing it into her head and then into her neck, I believe. He ends up killing Karen Hopple off. And it's kind of strange because in the first episode, we are introduced to Hopple, and we're thinking that she's going to be like the Dr. Loomis of this show. She doesn't last at all. She ends up dying on the second episode in the first 5 minutes. And I must say, John Carroll Lynch, who plays Mr. Jingles, is terrifying. I mean, I see why Ryan Murphy keeps making him being these villains in his shows, because he did an amazing job as Twisty the Clown on Freak Show, and I think he had a little small role in American Horror Story Hotel. And he kind of played like a little killer there too. But he's a killer in here, and he is creepy as fuck. And then we get to Brooke. She's in the cabin with her friends, and she sees some stuff on TV about the Night Stalker doing some more killings around the area. And, she looking kind of crazy, and she's just like, guys, do you see this? And they don't see anything about it. And as I noticed as well, every time she kind of make a reference towards the Night Stalker, or, every time she sees something, nobody else sees it but her. So, I don't know, maybe there's something going on there too. But Margaret storms in, telling everybody that they must go into their own cabins. The boys must go and shower at nighttime to purify themselves and cleanse the filth off, which is also like a Carrie reference. Because if you know, Carrie's mom was kind of the same way. She was the super overly religious person, where she talked about dirty pillows, and if you guys know what dirty pillows is. So the boys go off to take a shower, and we're left with Brooke in Montana. Brooke is pretty much still paranoid. She's talking to Montana like, I don't understand why nobody sees these things but me. What is going on? And Montana's trying to be empathetic with her, but for some reason Montana's comparing her fat kid trauma to what Brooke is going through, which is kind of funny, because I'm like, Montana, that has nothing to do with your type of trauma. I understand that it still sits with you, but Brooke's was a little worse. We get into a backstory a year later about Brooke and her being married, to the love of her life. And we see what's going on, and we see them about to get married. And you can just tell that her fiance is a little off. And then there's this conversation between, I guess, the best man, I think it's, her fiance's brother. So come to find out, Brooke's fiance thinking that Brooke is cheating on him with his brother and all this other stuff. So he ends up in the middle of the wedding, pulling a gun out, shooting his brother in the head, and then killing Brooke's father right in front of her. And then end up taking his own life instead of killing Brooke. And that left Brooke traumatized. And I think that would leave anybody traumatized. I mean, people getting shot up in your wedding and being killed, and you're almost being killed yourself. And then your fiance ends up taking his own life right in front of you. I can understand what she's going through. after Brooke tells the story, Montana try to make a move on her, and Brooke is just like, no, I think I need to go for a walk because this is a little bit too much for me. If you don't know by now, Brooke is making dumb and idiotic decisions. I mean, she got attacked nearly like 100 times on the first episode, and she's still wandering off by herself in the middle of the night. Like, I understand that she's trying to get away from Montana because she's trying to make a pass on her, and she's probably not comfortable. But I feel like maybe she should just move to the other side of the cabin, or just say, no girl, I'm not into that, leave me alone. But no, she decides to leave the cabin to go on for a late night walk because she needs some time to herself. I mean, all she's going to do is get attacked again. So we got the guys preparing to take a shower. Xavier is being fancy because there's no like hot water and there's no towels or whatever, or soap or whatever he's looking for. So he said, you know what? I'm gonna go back to my cabin and get my beach towel because I want to be fancy. I want to just not do an air dry. I need a towel. So he wanders off, you know, into the dark with his little flashlight. He ends up getting grabbed by some unknown figure. Come to find out, back on the first episode when Xavier made that stop at the gas station and he was checking his voicemail. And you remember, guys, I was talking about him, you know, receiving calls about, you know, taking his dick and running away and all that other stuff. The guy that ended up leaving that voicemail for Xavier found Xavier at this camp, took him into the car, and pretty much we end up getting the story that Xavier is doing a gay for pay type of thing. You know, this guy is like his daddy. That's what he wants to be called. His real name is Blake, but he wants his boys to call him daddy. And he's pretty much pimping off Xavier because Xavier is not a gay guy at all. I thought he was. Blake ends up telling him, like, you can't run away. You know, you make this one porn, you need to make more. And Xavier's just like, no, you said I only could do this one, and that's it. I just want to be an actor. You don't want to see Michael J. Fox doing gay porn. Why do I have to do it? Blake is pretty much like, no, you're my moneymaker. You're not going anywhere. So Xavier tries to run. Blake ends up getting him, and Xavier kind of try to make a deal with him, saying, look, I don't want to do this anymore, but I might have somebody that might want to, and I think he would be great for you. So then we get to see with the guy showering. You know, we got Blake looking through the peephole, looking at the guy showering, and he's looking at Trevor. So Xavier, I guess, made a deal with him, like, look, this guy has a massive penis. He would be great for your little gay porn stuff. Check him out. So Blake is checking him out. It's like, oh my gosh, that's not a cock. That is a guy's whatever. I don't know what the fuck he said, but it was really interesting. While Blake is mesmerized by Trevor's penis, Xavier goes and runs away. He's like, look, while he's occupied, I'm gonna just go away because I don't want to deal with this. Then all of a sudden, Blake is impaled through the head with some type of stick, and it comes right out his eye. So the guys don't notice this is why they're in the shower, because they're talking and being loud and showering. You know, it makes a lot of noise in there. So they don't realize that Blake, the guy that was watching him, is dead. But that's what you get for spying on people that you shouldn't be spying on, Blake. All these characters are expendable, and I love it. So far, we're not getting our main characters being killed yet, but I feel like this season so far is bringing in people just to be murdered in the first like 5 minutes that they make an appearance on the screen. So then we have Brooke again by herself on the dock thinking to herself, and I'm thinking, and I wonder if she's thinking like, Brooke, why aren't you thinking? You keep being attacked when you're alone. Why the fuck you keep doing it? I don't know. Another Friday the 13th reference. You know, you're sitting on the dock chilling by yourself, and all of a sudden a dead body comes swinging on through, and she starts to freak out. Come to find out, the dead body is Karen Hopple. So she ends up turning around, and guess who she sees? The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. He ends up trying to attack her. She ends up getting away. He ends up chasing her, and all of a sudden he bumps into the hiker that was killed on the first episode, the hiker that got hit by a car, the hiker that, you know, just mysteriously disappeared after being hung on a door. So Richard Ramirez ended up, you know, slashing him and cutting his throat, killing him. He tries to continue to run after Brooke. Then we cut to an awesome scene with Nurse Rita jamming to the Pointer Sister song, Jump. She's sitting there minding her business, having a good time, you know, just doing her own thing in the infirmary. And then she comes across Mr. Jingles. And I don't understand how she could get away from him because she was pretty much cornered by this dude. Then it cuts to black, and then we get our next scene. Brooke is still continually running. She ends up finding the payphone to call the police. She can't call the police because stupid Margaret ended up shutting the whole power off in the whole entire camp. So now everybody's fucked. So Montana runs into Brooke, and Brooke is panicking, saying, hey, the Night Stalker found me. He's out to get me. And Montana's rolling her eyes like, girl, like what? How did he find you here? Like, what are you talking about? So then we get Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. He's on this hill, whatever. And then he ends up seeing the hiker again. The hiker is still alive, and he's like, dude, I just fucking kill you. How are you still here? And that's what I'm wondering. I'm just like, how? Like, he just died like 100 times. Like, how is he still here? So Richard Ramirez ended up killing him again. And then when he takes his badge and look back at the hiker is gone. So at this point here, the hiker's a ghost. That's what it is. He's a ghost. Like, he's continuously dying. He keeps showing up. He acting like he doesn't know what's going on. And if you guys watch the other seasons of AHS, like Murder House and Hotel, usually when ghosts is trapped in a certain area, they don't remember certain things and they keep running things on a loop. They keep doing the same thing over and over again. So this is kind of the same situation here. So our Brooke is trying to convince Montana that she got attacked by the Night Stalker by showing the evidence. They hear Ray screaming, so they go to find him, and the boys end up finding Blake dead on the floor, impaled, you know, and through the wall. And Trevor's just like, oh my gosh, this dude was watching me. And he's just so narcissistic. Like, how you know if he was even watching you? Like, I understand it was pointed in that area, but it was other men around you too. But whatever, Trevor. At this point, they're all together. Xavier ends up coming back. Xavier is freaking out because he was like, oh my gosh, what happened or whatever. And he's like, I don't know this guy. I've never seen him before. So he's making it evident that, you know, he's trying not to show any connection with this guy, even though that's pretty much just pimp laying dead on the floor. So they all started freaking out, and they were like, you know what, we gotta get the hell out of here. Let's go. So they all run to the mystery machine. Meanwhile, while all that stuff is happening, we get Margaret in her cabin, minding her own business, and then all of a sudden, Richard Ramirez like pops up. He has a few questions for her. He's questioning her like, look, I need to know who this guy is. And he points, you know, he shows Margaret the badge that he took from the hiker. She's looking like she kind of know who the person is, but then she's like, who are you? You know, and she's bringing up her religious stuff again, and, you know, he's bringing up his type of religion. Margaret's setting the mood. She's lighting candles. She want to get deep into, you know, Richard's head. She putting music on, and she's talking about, I understand you. I want to know more about you. And he's just like, I just want to know who the fuck this person is. So she looks and she was like, yeah, this dude, you know, he died 14, 15 years ago. His name is Jonas. I watched his lifeless body. He's dead. And Richard is just like, no, I had killed him and then I killed him again. I killed him a couple times and for some reason he's still alive. How can that be? And she's like, because of God and, you know, this and that. And he's just like, oh Lord. So then we get into a backstory of how Richard Ramirez was brought up. Long story short, he was fucked up from the beginning. He was fucked up since he was in his mom's stomach. You know, she worked at a shoe factory. She was breathing in fumes. As a kid, he got hit in the head a couple times. He was introduced to, you know, dead bodies at an early age, you know, being shown pictures from his uncle. So it was a lot that he had taken that made him the man that he is today. And that's why he's kind of all messed up in the head. But for some reason, Margaret has an idea and she has a plan. So she's acting really, really strange. And she's trying to be, you know, she's trying to sympathize with him and kind of like understand him just so she can use him for a particular reason. In my opinion, I feel like that Margaret could have died right there because if this was the real Richard Ramirez, not that I know him, but reading things about the real Night Stalker, I feel like he didn't give anybody chances. And he's having a full conversation, letting his hair down, being vulnerable to Margaret. I'm not too sure because he can actually, you know, vibe with her and, you know, he felt that she was genuine. But a real serial killer would have just got her out of here with the quickness after he got his answer. He didn't do that. So I guess this is leading to another story being built up. And I believe it is because Margaret is actually trying to use Richard to kill Mr. Jingles. She want to use him as a tool to kill Mr. Jingles instead of her, you know, instead of she doing it herself because I guess that she don't want the mess on her own hands. But I feel like Margaret has some type of plan going on besides that. Like, she's up to something and she's been up to something for a while. And I guess we're all still trying to figure that out. So then we get back to the counselors trying to escape in their mystery machine and they get super excited because they're about to go. You know, they're all cheering. You know, you got Montana saying, fuck you, Camp Redwood and all this other stuff. So you thinking that they're going to get away. And as they driving, Nurse Rita pops out in the middle of the damn road and almost got hit by the fucking car. And they end up crashing into Margaret's car and ended up messing up their whole entire van. So guys, as you can see, Rita ended up escaping Mr. Jingles. She had like one little wound in her chest or whatever. And in my head, I'm thinking, how did she escape him? Like, he's getting everybody out of here with the quickness. How did she end up escaping from him? So hopefully we get more into that in the next episode or whatever, because I want to know how the fuck she escaped. But, you know, she was hurt. She ended up getting their car crashed. So now they're just like, all right, now we're fucking stuck. So they was just like, all right, we need to find another way to escape. So she was just like, I got a little small car, but my keys is back inside the infirmary. And you know, Trevor's just like, I have like my little motorcycle, but my keys is back in the cabin as well. So they all split up. You know, one group goes with Rita and the other group goes with Trevor. So they all go off to their own directions to find their keys to get away. Margaret ends up running into the hiker, also known as Jonas, and she's just like, I know you. And he at first didn't recognize her, but he was just like, you're Margaret. I recognize you. You just look a lot different. Like, and she was like, well, do you know what year it is? He's like, 1970. So that right there implies, guys, that Jonas is a ghost. You know, he still thinks it's 1970. And Margaret's like, yeah, you still look the same. You like, obviously, like you were dead when I seen you. So, you know, you're still lingering around here. We were trying to figure that out too. Like, how he became a ghost. Like, I know he died, but why is he still lingering around? Or why he's like, you know, don't remember certain things, and why he keeps coming back over and over again every time he do die, even though he is a ghost. But there's still a lot of questions to be answered. This particular scene here too makes me think that Margaret is up to something, because like I said in the beginning, something was a little fishy with her when she was kind of going on a little rant. Jonas kind of explained, like, I seen you and I felt bad because I seen you in there, but how the camera showed on the show, like, it made it seem like that Margaret did all the killings inside that cabin. And he kind of flipped it and was just like, oh, I wish I went back and saved you. But before, he was like, I seen you. And so maybe in his head, like, he knew that she like did something because she was the only one alive, and he like ran. But then he tried to flip it, not to make it obvious that, you know, I know that you're the killer or you're working with Mr. Jingles, because when he seen her, he ended up running, and then he ended up getting hit by a car that Mr. Jingles was in. So I'm not too sure if that's the way that he died or whatever. A lot of stuff is still confusing here, but I think some things are starting to come together just a little bit. But I don't know, guys. The show could be tricking us. They could be thinking like, oh, let's make it seem like Margaret is the killer, or she has something to do with this, because it's shown that way. The two groups are looking for their keys, and, you know, Richard Ramirez is trying to find Mr. Jingles, and then, you know, you got Mr. Jingles trying to find the counselors and kill them. So Xavier is in the cabin with his group, and he's like panicking, freaking out, saying, this is all my fault. I brought you guys into this. I actually know Blake. You know, he kind of tries to tell the story, saying this is all his fault. So they start to hyperventilate a little bit. And then the other group, they are starting to go crazy because they can't find the keys. And Rita is just like, look, they were here. They're not here now. So then we get poundings on both sides of the door. So we got pounding on the door of that group, and then we get another pounding of the door on that group. So pretty much you got maybe Richard Ramirez banging on one door and Mr. Jingles banging on the other door to get to those two groups. Then the episode ends that way. You don't really know who's actually on the other side of the door banging like that. It could be, you know, Jonas. It could be Margaret. It could be, you know, a police. Who knows? Or it could be the actual killers. But I don't know, guys. This episode was okay. It could have been a little bit better. I still enjoyed the first one a lot better, but this one kind of gave us more insight on what is going on. So now we're introduced to Jonas the ghost. So we need to get into more of his background, what's going on here, and why is he a ghost, and why is he laying around, and how he's going to play a significant part in this season. And I still have my theories about this whole entire season. I don't want to share just yet. I'm going to wait till I have Shanice on. And if you guys remember her, she was on the Us review that I did, and we're going to be reviewing some of these episodes here. So I'm going to discuss some more theories with her upcoming episodes. But yeah, guys, let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you had a good time. And if you have theories on what's going on with Jonas or with the whole season, let me know in the comments below. I don't know why this episode was titled Mr. Jingles, because it was more so about the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. So maybe Mr. Jingles is actually Richard Ramirez. I don't know. This is all confusing. I don't understand why they would title it Mr. Jingles if this episode wasn't really about him. We only seen maybe like 2 or 3 seasons with him. We see more of Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, than Mr. Jingles. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. I promise to make more videos like this if you guys enjoyed it, and it would help this channel grow. So thanks again, guys, for watching, and I'll see you guys next week for the next episode. Peace out.